Hi there, I'm Dylan Tanner, and this is the fourth episode of Movement for Mind and Meaning. Today I'm going to talk about the binary model of mental health, where we tend to think of mental health in terms of either mentally well or mentally ill, or struggling or fine, or okay or not okay, as if there's no in between, when in reality it's not just flipping a switch to one or the other, but is more a spectrum or a series of dials that represent different aspects of our lives, and how our mental health shows up in those different areas. For me personally, one area of my life could be functioning well and thriving, and in another area of my life it could be completely upside down. One example we could use that could affect everybody is work environments, where you're expected to either be fully functional or on leave. There's not much room for, I'm managing today, it's harder than usual but it's better than nothing, which completely ignores nuance and how mental health fluctuates from day to day or even hour by hour. Then we have our relationships and social interactions, where people often expect consistent emotional availability. Where if you say, I'm not great right now, people might overreact. What's wrong? Are you okay? Or even underreact. You'll be fine. Just smile more. It's rarely treated as the nuanced spectrum it really is. And even in recovery, you only ever really see definitions as either struggling with their mental health or recovered. This totally overlooks how ongoing the healing journey really is. And someone might appear good again, but still have a lot going on underneath the surface. And we see it all the time in the media where mental health is often dramatised. Celebrities are either having breakdowns or bouncing back completely. You're never going to see the recovery stage of that journey. And even when it comes to working out or training, we feel we should either be going balls to the wall or nothing at all. It's as if it's even pointless starting if we're not going to follow a fully stacked weekly schedule with intense workouts across the board. When really, if we can lose that all or nothing mindset and get used to doing little bits here and there that add up, this is going to benefit us so much more. Honestly, this is something I deal with myself all the time, and I think the more you're in it and suffering, the more it feels that way. You feel you'll always be mentally unwell, and you'll never feel better again. It feels permanent and desperate, and like the switch will never flip to good again. In every aspect of my life, I felt like I was failing at one time or another, because I couldn't just flip a switch and feel better all of a sudden. It's always easy to default to feeling like you're failing, especially if you've been having a good run of activity, life's been going well, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere you wake up in the morning and want nothing. The motivation and good feeling from yesterday has completely disappeared. And even though it's really hard sometimes, we must remember it's always temporary and there's always ups and downs. This is why it's so important to try and gain a change in perspective of mental health as a whole and how we see ourselves in our own mental health. We want to view our mental health not as one big chunk that's either good or bad, but instead as different aspects of our lives, a series of dials that we can just try to nudge, even if it's just from a 1 to a 2. This is a huge win. And certainly better than doing nothing and staying at 1, which is what we tend to do when we only see ourselves as fully mentally ill and trying is pointless. A regular example of this for me is when I spent many days considering taking my life all day, so at home I'm really struggling with everything. Then I go and coach a session with my guys and have the best time and they'd never know about it. People often tell me they'd never know I had BPD, borderline personality disorder, or that I was depressed or suffered with anxiety at all. Then as soon as I jump in the car to head home I feel completely empty again. Lots of people are going through similar experiences to this all the time, which is why the on-off style of thinking when it comes to mental health can be so damaging, especially to people who are trying their hardest to work through their recovery. It can invalidate someone's gradual progress and they could feel their own small wins or improvements are insignificant or pointless, feeling if they're not 100% yet, it just doesn't count. It can also encourage masking instead of actually coping with mental health symptoms. Someone might try to avoid judgment by hiding how they're really feeling, which leads you to becoming an expert at pretending you're okay when inside you're drowning. Along with that then, they can feel shame around failure because they're not instantly better despite working at it, making gradual improvements through therapy, medication, exercise, and they blame themselves for it. This can lead to not wanting to ask for help, or leaving it until it's completely unbearable before they do, or even suffering in silence completely. It can fuel burnout because someone is masking so hard, trying to appear okay, that it becomes completely exhausting. It basically ignores all nuance in mental health where feelings and emotions like grief and joy can actually coexist. You can be ambitious and excited about something, but still feel no motivation to take the first step. And quite honestly, that explains my life. It's important we understand for ourselves, and also to let those know who have a loved one, friend or colleague who have mental health issues, that growth is gradual, and sometimes messy, and oftentimes there'll be peaks and troughs on that journey, and to let them know you understand and that's okay, and that they have time and space to recover. I'm always going to be honest and authentic with my own mental health journey through this. And only the other day, I was having one of those heavy days, feeling flat, feeling empty, no motivation, feeling the weight in my chest pinning me to the bed, the kind of day where just sitting up with the bed feels like a massive task. By the time evening came around, I was still there. Messages unanswered. I hadn't moved much, but something, maybe just the discomfort of being stuck there all day, wanting to get up, wanting to breathe. So I just got up. I put my shoes on, got dressed, no real plan. I walked out the door, down the street, 3 minutes out, 3 minutes back. Obviously it didn't fix anything. I didn't come back smiling or suddenly all better, but I did get to feel something, even if it was small. Something different. Motion. Movement. And it's something I felt I could do again tomorrow. Moments like that don't exactly look like a big deal, and there wouldn't be much point in posting about it on social media, but for me they're the most important moves you can make. They're real evidence that effort can give you something different and allow you to feel a change of state. Not all at once, but enough to keep going. And when it comes to dials, for me personally, there's a few things I have to really pay attention to try and keep myself in check. The most important for me is my emotions. I have to keep an eye on my capacity and overwhelm, and make sure I'm not taking on too much and adding too much potential stress, or I'll start to present in my BPD symptoms. I get snappy over things that wouldn't usually bother me. My emotions will start to bubble up. Anger, sadness, shame, fear of abandonment, and then my reactions start to be present, and off the back of that, I feel real deep shame and go into suicidal ideation of typically about 3 days on average. If the slightest thing goes wrong, or there's the smallest of disagreements, I'll be stuck on it, with it going around in my head over and over for hours, or even days at a time, and it can feel like the end of the world. So I know when I start to feel it coming on now, I need to pull it back a bit. Take a day, or however long it takes, and just decompress. Go to the beach for a walk, hit the weights, take a long bath, start delaying conversations that could cause me anxiety, taking time to think before responding so I'm not putting out unnecessary reactions. I don't win every time with these strategies in place, but it's so much better than it's been in the past. My wife will tell you it's night and day to how it used to be, but I'm my own worst critic, I guess, such as the nature of BPD, and I really struggle to see the improvements. Another dial I have to pay attention to personally is if I'm feeling numb. Am I feeling at all? If I'm feeling numb or I feel it coming on, I know I'm not in a good spot and I need to figure out where it's coming from to process it. Then physically I know something's up. My sensory overload starts firing off where I can hyper feel every little thing on my skin, and even quiet insignificant sounds are like screeching in my ears and it becomes too much. This can lead to dissociation or shutdown, which is no fun at all for me or anyone else. These are the main factors for me that I've learned I need to be hyper vigilant with, or it can go downhill fast. And it's important to remember it's not about perfection. It's about keeping the different dials in check as best you can for where you are mentally on any given day and accepting that about yourself. And there's factors you can pay attention to in your own life to try and recognise why you might be feeling off or down. Sometimes you don't even really know how you're feeling. So learning to recognise what areas might be off for you, and then knowing how to nudge those dials to keep yourself on an even keel as possible, is truly life-changing. A few things you can do to get you started on this. Firstly, you want to check in with yourself physically. Are you clenching your jaw without realising? Are you holding your shoulders tight? Is your breathing low and shallow? Do you feel like you have a pit in your stomach or a weight in your chest? Then you can look at your usual everyday behaviour and patterns for signs. Is your sleeping off? Are you sleeping more or less? Struggling to get to sleep, then waking up in the middle of the night not able to get back off to sleep? Are you avoiding interactions with people more than usual? Skipping meals or binge eating more than usual? Are you spending more time on your phone, doom scrolling? And what about your relationships? Have you been short or snappy with your partner? More than usual? Are you having off reactions to things you'd usually find funny and be able to joke about? These are all things we can look at that can indicate that you might not be doing so great. And remember, you don't need full clarity or to have full energy to start nudging a dial, and it's not likely if you're in the thick of it that you'll want to do anything. But you can try for sure, and once you do it, then you can feel the benefit. These are a few things you can try. Get outside. Whether it's a quick walk or a drive, get outside. Just taking in some deep breaths of fresh air can make such a difference. Maybe put some music on. Just do it. Put on some of your favourites or music you like to boogie to. Stick your headphones on and let it do its magic. Read a few pages of a real book, not on your screen, a real paperback or hardback book. Take a hot bath or a shower. For me, if everything else feels too much, this is my last resort. I run a hot bath and just relax. And hey, at least you washed today, right? I know that might sound a bit funny, but when you're really in there in your mental health struggles, washing isn't even a priority. So, I think we've covered quite a bit there today regarding binary thinking, when mental health is considered in terms of you're either okay or not okay, and how we can learn to be much more aware of the nuance in mental health, and how we can work with it for ourselves to self-adjust, and be able to work with our mental health day by day to keep ourselves in check as best we can. And that brings us to the end of today's episode, and I hope you enjoyed. I'm Dylan Tanner, and this is Movement for Mind and Meaning, a place for people just like you who want to keep trying for something more.